for the RS2.
Who did?
We didn't finish the ad. Yes, we failed at making a Porsche commercial. Now this was a spec ad. And if you're not familiar with that, a spec ad is an ad that you fund yourself so you can kind of show what you can make. Now in this video, I'm gonna show you 4 reasons why we weren't able to finish this commercial and how I would approach it differently now. Now I was very confident because of my previous experience with this, and we knew we were gonna end up rigging a Porsche from Turo. Now I went on my local Sharegrid and found a HydraArm. We got it like 2 days, I believe, before the shoot, just for everyone to be like sure it was gonna work. And sure enough, one of the suction cups valve was out. So we all kind of started panicking. We had already gotten a model, we had a location, we had extra help. And again, this was a spec ad. So we were basically very bootstrapped and just trying to make things work. So at the time I started looking for the valve, it wouldn't get here on time. I looked for the next HydraArm and I was looking at way up in LA. So it didn't really make sense. I believe I had a shoot the next day or so. We couldn't make it happen. So I had to find a way to rig this. Went to Harbor Freight, we found a suction cup, and I just was able to attach that and just grip it with like a Carlini, and it worked out. It seemed secure, but it never crossed our mind how much time additionally it was going to take to rig this thing. Now with this, I'm gonna jump into the next point, which is account for the time to rig the car. Previously, when I was shooting with my buddy on the other music videos, we had more hands-on that kind of were more familiar with the whole system in terms of transmission and all of that. So it was a little bit easier separating the duties. We were still very bootstrapped, but we definitely had more hands available. And we didn't really account for that on this Porsche commercial. So the problem with that was our time to rig the actual car was longer. And then on top of that, we still had to figure out that suction cup depending on the body parts we were rigging. And I think part of what made it even more difficult is that I didn't want to ruin this car. I mean, this is a rental car. People, no mames, you scratch a Turo and now you gotta get involved with all these things. It would have been much easier if it was like my personal vehicle, but I do not own a Porsche. Now, if I would go back, I would have spent an extra hour or 2 with Nick, our director. The guy came out with the whole concept as well, and just broken down every shot so we could actually stay on track. We're behind on a shot, we would just not add shots like I actually attempted to do. So by all means, regardless how simple the shoot might look, because it doesn't always end up being like that, make sure you are keeping track of all your shots and the time allotted per shot. If not, you're gonna end up like me without a commercial. We ended up with like 5 shots, I think. The last variable is this was the first time that I actually got to film on location in the desert. And I never realized how dark it gets. I kind of was accounting that if we step into the night, it will just be a darker scene and I'm okay lighting the car from the inside. But I never accounted for when we went outside of the car, there wasn't gonna be any ambient. We didn't even have a moon or anything, right? If you go out to the streets, there's so much light everywhere bouncing around and it might not seem like it, but when you're in the desert, it's pitch black. The camera reads 0 information. And that's one thing that I would now keep in mind if I have a desert shoot is how dark this is going to get. And my sensor, how much light or power I would need to even lift the area a little bit. It's just a lot. If I'd get the chance to do this again, I would approach it a little bit differently. And again, I would go through all of these points. And any time I get a car shoot, this is going to be how I make sure I am not running out of time, essentially breaking down all the shots with really good pre-production, the best scouting of location when possible for night or just in general, and having all hands on deck, because this thing just takes so much work. You essentially need one person just to handle rigging, one person to handle transmission, and you still got to figure out where you're going to drive this with the director. So it becomes a bigger project once all these variables take place. Now, next time you have a car shoot, you know what you have to look for and how to actually get a commercial out of this. Again, we have like 5 or 6 clips. I'll show them here somewhere, but overall, got some sick photos by my buddy Chris House and some cool B-roll. So we'll see what happens when we actually get the chance to complete this commercial, maybe one day. All right, guys, that's all I have for you guys today. I'm gonna see you on the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe for future content, and see you on the next video.